35192. Want to send me a text. AlanCoxShow.com. If you want to watch live. Cavs are off tonight. They lose double overtime last night in Chicago against the Bulls. 132 to 123 is the final there. So they will lick their wounds tonight and head over to Detroit. They're going to play the Pistons at 7 o'clock tomorrow night here on MMS and on the iHeartRadio app. You can hear all of your Cavalier's coverage starting at 6:30 before tip-off at 7 o'clock. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
What up?
How you doing?
How are you?
Oh, not bad. I had that guy was talking about the sound of the farts. I was in school years ago. I squeezed my rear end as hard as I could against the seat because I wanted to be nonchalant about it and be quiet. I gave a big. The whole class started laughing their ass off. The Chooch gave me one hell of a grin. So I just wanted to share that you guys about guess your farts. So.
All right, good. Thank you. That's Tim in Medina, who's letting everybody know that there's nothing wrong with that.
Somebody fought it, standing in the welfare line. Not sure who's behind. It wasn't mine, like the Red Sea. The line just parted, 'cause some nasty sucker knew he just had farted.
Got that off of one of Mary's playlists.
You didn't?
Are you sure? Almost positive you sent me that.
No.
I didn't get that from you?
Nope.
Oh, well, I do apologize. So we were talking about Richard Lewis dying. He was 76. You know who Gary Sinise is?
Yeah.
Gary Sinise's son died.
Oh, that's...
Max Sinise was only 33 years old. He had I'd never even heard of this before. He had a very rare form of spinal cancer that 300 people a year get.
Jeez.
So this was a few years ago. His son gets diagnosed with this. I wonder where these people live, because you read these stories about people who get cancer, diagnoses really close to each other. It was like a couple of months after Gary Sinise's wife had been diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. She lived. She went into remission. But Max Sinise had this, usually when they say, oh, it's very rare, only 15,000 people a year, 300 people a year in the U.S. get this form of spinal cancer called chordoma. And Gary Sinise's son died of it. And he was a musician. He was an artist in his own right. And his family is dealing with that now. Gary Sinise is, of course, one of Chicago's favorite sons, and a very nice guy, nice dude, great actor.
I just watched Ransom a few weeks ago, and man, I love that movie.
Give me back my son.
Give me back my son.
Yeah, very good in that.
He's great in that. He's great in Apollo 13. He's great in Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
So many good movies.
I remember the one time I met Gary Sinise. He came to the radio station I was working at, and he was doing press for Forrest Gump. And it was coming out on my birthday in 1994. And the radio station made a cake that said, "Happy Movie Gary," and "Happy Birthday," well, it said Lyle, because that was my nickname. Happy birthday, Lyle.
Lyle Crocodile.
And Gary Sinise, a very nice guy.
Why was Lyle your nickname?
Because he's stupid.
I'd like to have that.
Right.
I'd like to hear the.
You're just kind of an a-hole today.
I don't mind that. I want to go down that path with her and walk through the explanation of my nickname was Lyle because I was stupid.
It's just what it is.
Oh.
It's science. You're a guy of science, you know?
I had short, wavy hair, and they said that I was very skinny. And they said I reminded them of the singer Lyle Lovett. So that became my nickname at the radio station. But yeah, Gary Sinise. Again, very conservative guy. I don't know if he's a MAGA dude, but Gary Sinise has always been firmly among the Hollywood conservatives. But the one time I met him, very nice guy. Very active, obviously, because of the Lieutenant Dan thing, and all that. I mean, he's got a thing called the Dan Band, and but they raise a lot of money for like veterans organizations and things like that.
The Dan Band is different.
The Lieutenant Dan Band.
Okay, I was gonna say
the Dan Band are those guys making jokey songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just doing jokey versions. They're not even doing like a cover. They just swear while they sing.
Right.
From old school, right? That was what put them on the map.
Yeah. Sorry, the Lieutenant Dan Band.
Wedding Crashers. End of Wedding Crashers.
Yeah, they popped up a couple of times. I remember seeing them.
Was it Wedding Crashers? I feel like it was.
They play his wedding in Wedding Crashers.
Okay.
Oh, do they?
But don't they play at the beginning of old school?
He plays Candy Shop. I thought he did.
Old school and the Old School and the Hangover.
Oh, the Hangover. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yes, he plays the wedding at the Hangover.
They're on the Wedding Planner
Shop.
soundtrack. They're on the Old School soundtrack. Starsky and Hutch. They put out the Dan Band live. I don't even know if they're still a band. But the Lieutenant Dan Band would be the Gary Sinise outfit. But yeah, that was so wild that his son got nobody wants a rare cancer. Nobody wants something that, even 5,000 people a year get, let alone 300 people. Like, you could have everybody who gets it in a year from the entire country, in half of a ballroom at a Holiday Inn or something. That's your support group is the entire group of people who have it. I don't know if Max Sinise is their only child. But that would suck. So there you go. Forrest Gump, which I heard people talking about this morning, being one of the greatest movies of all time.
All time, huh?
Well, that's what I heard.
Who was saying that? It's a great movie. I love that movie. There's a lot of people that hate it, but I enjoy it. Are you all right? Do you need to?
I'm just having a cough.
I'm just coughing.
I'm on the mend, just having a cough. I don't have my tea currently.
Hey, I just made tea. Green tea, because that's what the options were. Green or chamomile. Oh,
good for you.
Which?
Green or chamomile. But I was like, I thought chamomile tea is like sleepy tea.
No.
I thought.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yes,
maybe.
I thought chamomile, like lavender chamomile, was supposed to help you sleep.
Well, maybe they want people falling asleep on the air so they can fire them.
Oh,
maybe that's like a backdoor way to do it. 100.7 WMMS, brand new track here from guy who recently left the band Bauhaus. Remember the Bauhaus? This guy looks like a skeleton. Bad, he's got a voice. Now the girls going crazy. Some of the guys too. His name's Peter Murphy. Song's called Cut You Up. Brand new here on 100.7 WMMS, the Buzzard.
Find you in the morning, after dreams of distant sights. Pour yourself over me, like the sun through the blinds.
You guys hip to Peter Murphy? This is basically the one song everybody knows from Peter Murphy. It was Cut You Up.
I've never heard this.
Great song. Oh, you don't know this one? Fantastic.
I've heard it, but I'm not deep with Peter Murphy or Bauhaus or any of that stuff.
Good pun. Album's called Deep.
Oh.
Well, you had to like Bauhaus for one thing. You had to be into like that really, really early goth vibe. And then he split because he's like, I want to do my own thing, make it a little poppier. But this was the biggest hit that the guy had. Loved the song. But I mention it because Peter Murphy was the original model for The Crow. The guy who created the comic book The Crow was dealing with his fiancée getting hit and killed by a drunk driver. And so he put this comic book together called The Crow to deal with that. And he used Peter Murphy, who's a very, very slender, kind of very waifish looking guy. Exactly what you wanted in a goth frontman, right? Skin like milk, the whole bit. And so he used Peter Murphy as the model for that character in the comic book. Of course, the Crow comic book became a huge hit. And it didn't take him long to make it into a movie. Only the comic book, was probably late 80s. And the Brandon Lee movie was early 90s. So it wasn't that long. And then Brandon Lee died making that movie. It was the last week of shooting The Crow, and Brandon Lee died. It was another one of these weapons mishaps, like Alec Baldwin's dealing with right now. It was kind of like that on the Crow, and the guy. So they had to figure out. You're talking 1994, where they didn't have state of the art special effects, and so they're like, we've got to figure out. He had shot most of his scenes, but they had to figure out how they were going to piece this movie together now that the star was dead, and so they got his stuntman, who was a guy named Chad Stelsky, and they superimposed Brandon Lee's face on the stuntman's body for a few scenes.
Which
and then,
actually looked pretty good, considering it was also 1994.
Yeah, I think they shot in 3 and came out 4. Yeah, so, right. That stuntman, ironically, would go on to, because he was a stuntman, it could make it look real, he was a guy that would go on to direct all the John Wick movies. But the guy who initially came up with The Crow was so distraught over the Brandon Lee thing, he denounced the whole thing. He wished he had never written the Crow comic book, the whole bit. So I'm thinking about all that as everybody is losing their ever-loving minds over the first
Bill
shots
Skarsgård, where he looks like Steve-O
from the Crow reboot.
Yeah.
And now he does have those Beckham nipples, so maybe there's something there. And this dude is ripped, by the way. He's got another movie coming out called Boy Kills World, where I think he's mute, but it's an action movie. So Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the It reboot, and he's done some other stuff, but I think he was in that Hulu Castle Rock thing that they did a couple years ago. But he's an interesting-looking dude, and everybody is losing their shrimp over, people said they made him look like a SoundCloud rapper, whatever.
Yeah.
But this movie has to be of the time. The Crow in 1993 looked like what the guy made in the comic book. But if you're going to put it out in 2024, you're not going to make it look the same.
Right, but they always go to the same stereotype. Like, it's what they did with the Joker in Suicide Squad. And people are just like, yeah, we've seen this character before.
I am surprised.
I saw it and I was like, oh, this is not good.
I am surprised that's what they went with, but the director is the guy. Remember they did the ScarJo version of Ghost in the Shell a few years ago?
Yeah.
And everybody flipped out about that. Well, he's the same guy that did that. So he clearly has, for better or worse, a vision. But he said his inspirations for this were, now again, Peter Murphy, inspiration for the comic book. This director's inspirations for the reboot of The Crow, Lil Peep and Post Malone were his inspirations. But he does look like, everybody got mad about emo Joker, Jared Leto.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that is what the Joker looked like in the comic books for that era. Bill Skarsgård looks like emo Riddler. If they put this guy in a green skin-tight suit with question marks all over it, that's what the Crow would look like for this.
Yeah.
I don't know who the girl is in it. There were a couple of photos of him, but he's just, I shouldn't even say shredded. He's just super skinny. He got super skinny.
He's like machinist looking in this.
Right.
I mean, you can see abs, but they're more pronounced because he's just so skinny, not because he's all jacked up.
He's like mid-90s Iggy Pop is kind of what they were. So, but again, in my mind,
it's that nipple tattoo that's weird too.
Where it's the eye,
where the eye is the nipple. It's like, what? Why are you doing this?
Well, listen, The Crow is a very fundamentally by design, it's a very emo thing, and so I guess whatever the director of this movie thinks that looks like in 2024, people are really in their feels about it. The people have spoken. This movie has already flopped. But that's not going to be the case. A lot of people will go see this.
I disagree.
You don't think people will hate watch it?
No. Because
you guys are telling me all the time about people hate watching and hate listening stuff.
But if they're going to do that, they don't do it in the theater. They'll do it 4 years later when it's on Netflix, and everyone's like, okay, finally, I'll watch it. Like, nobody, if that were the case, Madam Web would have done numbers.
I was going to say, movies are too expensive to do that now.
Morbius would have done, like, people will make fun of it, but they're not going to go and watch it.
Pay
they're
$20
pay
to see
$20
it.
bucks to see a movie when they got a bunch of stuff that they already want to see filling up their queue at home.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to do well.
At the very least,
because you're making a movie.
They should have kept the long hair. I mean, if you're going to mess with everything else, keep the long hair.
I think that's a huge part of it. Like, people see the short hair and they're like, ugh, this doesn't look like the Crow.
Yeah.
They could have long hair.
Also,
And they always do the face tattoos.
I forgot Lil Peep died. Oh, R.I.P. Lil Peep.
Oh, my kids never let me forget that Lil Peep died.
I thought for
they
some
never
reason,
let you forget that he
They're
died.
always talking about Lil Peep and Mac Miller. And
I thought it was Lil
we're
Xan
so
that died.
sad. No, Lil Xan, I think, is still kicking.
Yeah, Lil Xan's still alive, but yeah, Lil Peep died.
Well, they're sad, dead rappers.
But he was only
He couldn't
21.
He
That's
couldn't
so
wait
young.
to get out of
I didn't
Central
say
PA.
it wasn't
and then-
sad. I just wasn't. It's not music for me.
Right. They never let you forget.
He looks
Never. They're always sharing. Oh,
Hey, Dad, remember Lil Peep's dead?
It's not even that. They're just putting on their Instagram stories and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
I miss Lil Peep or I miss Mac Miller. And
Well, he's their
blah, blah, blah.
Cobain, right?
Yeah, but even then, I was just like, well, kind of like this Foo Fighters band that came out of it. So
It's just
I'm a Mr. Brightside guy.
He died on the tour bus. That's a way to do it. When your body is full of every prescription and illicit drug, you're a young dude, you're on the road, you can't possibly handle what's happening to you. You're from Nowheresville, Pennsylvania, and you're on the tour bus. And they're like, hey, man, wake up.
You got unlimited drugs.
We got a show tonight. Died on the bus in Tucson. He's not the first guy to do that.
Just so young.
And then the family brings wrongful death charges against the management group. It's like, guys, this is a young dude who was trying to, like, live an image. The management company didn't say, hey, put dopey tattoos all over your body and, chug full bottles of prescription medication. And he was throwing everything against the wall to get people to pay attention.
He was bisexual.
Yeah, well, that's one more thing you throw against a wall.
Gas station rapper, though. Like, just...
Well, whatever. I mean, it's got to come from somewhere, you know? You're not going in a studio and making a record if you're this guy. You're a SoundCloud rapper. So for this director to go, oh, part of my inspiration for the Crow reboot was Lil Peep, you go, oh, okay. Well, you basically traced a picture of Lil Peep. It wasn't your inspiration. It was more like you plagiarized the dude's look, I guess.
He would be so good looking without... Well,
if he were alive?
Well, yeah, if he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
But decent looking without the weird looking tats. Because some of these pictures, he looks kind of all right. But I'd probably do it for the story. But, like, yeah, I'm not attracted to all that. He looks like he stinks.
Yeah, but some people are way into that.
I know.
Way into that. That grimy. Mary loves that greasy looking kind of skinny.
I do not.
Oh, come on.
Brian is the first skinny guy I've ever dated.
I know you like fat gingers, but I'm just saying, like, you've said you like that scuzzy look, right?
No, I have not.
I thought you did.
I think you're thinking of Erica. Erica would always say that.
I know she
liked
did.
that.
Yeah, no, I thought Mary was kind of on board with some of that.
No.
But don't you have some of the dirtbag crushes?
I mean, I used to think Eminem was hot when I was a little kid. I mean, Johnny Depp, but that's not like
You're a
scuzzy,
little kid.
skinny, dirty rapper
Yeah.
look.
Mom,
Not
he's
at
so
all.
hot.
I've never been into that.
All right.
Everybody I've dated looks like they used to play football.
All right.
Like, if you're...
So Tekashi 6ix9ine is not necessarily
No.
your... Ah!
If your happy trail look all scraggly, I'm not into you. Like, it's got to be true.
Your happy trail looks scraggly.
Yeah. Like
You think people who look like that are heavy on the manscaping? I mean, I guess you got to pick a lane, but...
You ain't got to have crazy looking pubes just because you want to get some weird tattoos.
Yeah.
No, those things are not mutually exclusive.
Well, Pubes and Tattoos. That was his last album that he put out on SoundCloud. That was his swan song, as it were. I got a break. I want to go see Primus and Coheed.